It's time to gather loved ones together for all the holidays' best spread. Lynn's has great prices on all your favorite Thanksgiving items, from delicious turkey with all the fixings to mashed potatoes and yummy pies. We have everything you need to create your perfect Thanksgiving dinner. Whether it's cooking the traditional meal, completely store-bought, or a combination of both, your best holiday meal starts here. Learn more and start shopping today at lynsgrocery.com. Lynn's, where delicious begins.
Hi, this is Greg Kihlstrom. Welcome to the Agile World podcast, where we discuss customer experience, employee experience, and transformation in an agile age. The Agile World podcast is brought to you by TEKsystems, an industry leader in full-stack technology services, talent services, and real-world application. For more information, go to teksystems.com. To read more about the topics discussed on this show, you can go to my website at theagile.world and read my latest articles or get a copy of my latest book, The Center of Experience, a blueprint for creating an experience-led organization, now available on Amazon and other retailers. Hi, this is Greg Kihlstrom, host of the Agile World podcast. Today we're going to talk about employees and intrinsic motivation. So for those of you not familiar with intrinsic motivation, I'll give you a little background. So there's two types of motivation referred to as extrinsic and intrinsic. I've used intrinsic motivation and motivated employees at the center of what I call the center of experience. And in my book of the same name, I talk about this as when employees are truly intrinsically motivated, they're able to do great things with an organization. They're able to not only do good work, but create great experiences for customers as well. So first, I'll talk about the difference between extrinsic and intrinsic. So extrinsic motivation is something that is external to the person. So things like salary, benefits, perks, such as a foosball table in the office or free lunch on Fridays or things like that. No one is going to complain about any of those things, but what we know from research is these things have a benefit, but they have a limited benefit, and at a certain point, they actually cease to be beneficial to the organization giving them. So a brief example would be everyone needs a certain base amount of money to live. That could be based on different factors such as where you live, how many kids you have, the amount of student loan debt you might have, so on and so forth. We're all different in that respect, and yet we all have a number that we are comfortable with. A little bit more obviously helps. It certainly never hurts. A lot more doesn't necessarily make us want to stay at an organization, though. So if our employer gives us a 10% raise, that's a good thing. If they gave us a 12% raise, would it make us stay any longer? Would it make us any more productive? So on and so forth. The research kind of says no. So, the other thing would be this idea of what's referred to as the hedonic treadmill. So when someone is expecting something and when someone is expecting these extrinsic motivations, they tend to want more and more and more. So, for instance, the company that provides free lunch every week to their employees, all of a sudden, after a few weeks, the employees start complaining, well, lunch wasn't as good this week as it was last week. So it's not enough that they're getting free food and they don't have to worry about that. Now, all of a sudden, they're complaining that it's not good enough or it's getting worse or it was better one week over the other. So it's not satisfying over the long term. Again, it's a nice perk. A lot of companies, unemployment being what it is, it's important that employers try to attract talent in a lot of different ways. So by no means should a company not try to offer benefits or perks to their employees, but there has to be something more, or else what does it take for an employee to leave and go to another organization? All it takes is a little bit more extrinsic motivation, higher salary, higher bonus, 2 lunches a week instead of 1, 2 foosball tables, whatever the case may be. It's a very easy formula to kind of overcome, and at the same time, it's a losing proposition for companies because they know that they have to keep spending more money, and in order to keep their employees, and even if they do continue spending money, they may not even keep them. All it could take is the right offer from another company across the street, and all of that investment, all of those benefits, all of that money that they've spent trying to keep employees really has gone nowhere. So the difference is, the other type of motivation is intrinsic motivation. So this is something where it is within the person themselves. So this is something that no matter what happens, I personally am motivated by these things. And I could be at any company in the world, I'm still going to be motivated by these things. Over time, over years and decades, these things might shift or change gradually, but fundamentally, any person is really motivated by these things, and that's not affected by money. It's not affected by perks. It's not affected by bonuses. All of those types of things. So at Cravity, we have a product called Motivator Insights. And this product, one of the real values of this is not only does it identify what motivates someone. So we've identified 10 different intrinsic motivators. I'll list those in a minute here, but we've identified these 10 different intrinsic motivators. And not only do we have a tool that allows us to determine what you're motivated by. So out of these 10, I'm a combination of 3 or 4 of these. But it also tells us where you're lacking motivation in some of those areas. So for instance, I'll list the 10 here just so you get a sense of what they are. So altruism, autonomy, collaboration, influence, innovation, learning, ownership, rationality, recognition, and values. So of these 10 things, everyone is motivated by a little bit by all of them, but some of us are motivated by more than others. So for instance, if I am motivated by innovation, for instance, that may be something that is very strong and central to me, but in my current role, I'm not getting a lot of that. In other words, there's a gap, and we call that the motivator gap. So if there's a big gap in innovation, okay, well, what can we do about that? We don't necessarily need to spend money solving it. That's not a problem that lunch or foosball or all of these other things can solve that are those extrinsic motivators. It could be as simple as, okay, Greg is motivated by innovation. Well, there's an R&D group that meets, every other week to talk about new ideas. Get him involved in that. Maybe I contribute a great idea to it, or maybe I don't, but being involved in that motivates me to do the rest of my work great. It motivates me to be productive. I'm going to stay longer because I see that there's a place for innovation in the company that I work for. There's all kinds of tangible benefits to that. It also helps an organization know where and when to spend money on things. So, if I were motivated by learning, for instance, then, access to an LMS, access to training, all of those types of things would be beneficial. If I'm not motivated by learning at all, don't spend the money or the necessary effort to do that. Instead, give me access to the things that I need. So it helps organizations be smart about this. At the same time, it helps an individual get what they're looking for. And again, often without spending a lot of dollars, or just as importantly, if dollars are spent, they're spent on something that is not only beneficial to the employee, but also to the company. Investing in training and development and things like that, those are beneficial to everyone. Not only does the employee learn something, but the company will directly benefit from that. And because they are motivated by something, by learning, and they're doing something that helps them learn, they're going to be more productive. They're going to stay longer at the company, and all of those things. So I recommend really understanding more about this. You can check out the Motivator product on the Cravity website as well. and talk with us about that. But really, take the time to understand what are the extrinsic things that you're doing for your employees that don't really seem to be working, and what are the things that you could be doing that could really motivate your employees and really key on these intrinsic motivations. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next week. Thanks again for listening to the Agile World podcast, brought to you by Tech Systems. I'm your host, Greg Kihlstrom. You can learn more and get a copy of my latest book, The Center of Experience, from my website at theagile.world or on Amazon or other retailers. Until next week, stay agile.